Divorce Not an Option podcast. I am your host, Stephen James Dixon, with my wonderful co-host,
Tamara Glaspie,
whose name will be changing relatively short order.
Yes.
How's the wedding?
Yes.
You know what? Tell us a funny story about the wedding planning. What's going on?
Oh my gosh. The funniest story is that I can't afford this wedding. I walked into a florist that was recommended to me by a couple of people who said he will be great. He will do a wonderful job and he will stay within a budget. And when I walked in the door and they asked me, would I prefer Ozarka or Perrier? I knew I could not afford this dude.
Wow.
Yes. He gave me a $3,000 quote and said I could only afford 3 of the centerpieces that I want.
I'm trying to think of the last place I went where they offered me water as soon as I walked in.
Yeah. Not just water, Perrier.
Yeah, you're right. Not just water. You got to say Perrier, true. You know what? When I was getting the design for my house built, that's the last time I think.
Mm-hmm. That tells you what kind of, that tells you what kind of price range you in.
Mm-hmm. Come on in and let us comfortable, make sure you got everything you need so we can upgrade everything.
And not just that, you walk in and you know how some people have like a candy dish on the desk? This dude had like protein bars. Whatever.
You got to be hanging out in case you get hungry.
Yes. He had a whole little command center with screens behind him, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna be in your price range."
Did your boo come with you on the flowers?
He don't care about no flowers. He's really over the whole wedding planning thing.
He about 3 weeks into the wedding plan. He can't be done.
He said it from the beginning. Can we just like go to the Justice of Peace, or can we go do a destination wedding? Can we just get this done?
How's your list looking?
Oh, I can't even think about that right now. That just makes me want to cry.
Hold on. When I listen to this podcast, I'm going to specifically listen to this point where we were laughing and giggling, and I asked you about your list, and your voice just went down.
Yes, that is depressing because my ideal location where I am having my wedding is beautiful, but it does not hold enough people, and it's too expensive on top of that to be adding anybody. So I'm having so many people ask me about the wedding, and I'm having to say I'm sorry I can't invite you.
Oh, you telling people already they're not invited?
Well, I mean, people are asking me. Like people.
But you actually. Wait. You've actually told people that I don't have room to invite you?
Yeah.
Wow.
What am I supposed to do? Because they asking about the wedding.
I'm just surprised that it's already happening. That people are already asking you just.
Yes. My mama has a friend who has like just assumed that she was invited and made multiple comments. And my mother has tried to tell her repeatedly, you're not invited.
Wow. What happened with did they announce it at the church?
No, they have not announced it at church. Thank the Lord. We decided that we would just wait till after the wedding and make a marriage announcement. Yeah, we can't do that. We can't do that.
So Mama's finally on board with understanding that we cannot announce this at the church.
Yes, she finally recognizes that. But I mean, I think it's partially like a change in etiquette over the years. Things are just different. Back in the day, you had your wedding in the church and you had your reception and fellowship hall. Who all wanted to come came.
Right. So when you announce it at the church, basically church people just show up when you announce it at the church.
Exactly. And so I'm like, who gonna be the one to tell people? I mean, I'm not gonna have no goons sitting out in front saying you can't come in here.
A goon in front of the wedding, that'd be interesting.
But she kind of made it sound like that. Well, we'll have seating arrangements, and if they don't have a seat, they just can't sit down. It don't work like that.
I couldn't imagine that. Like, I'm trying to imagine, like how security is at the concert.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna need if she make an announcement.
Hey, you sitting over on your little area trying to enjoy yourself with your new boo, and you see security over there with the flashlight or something, waving at somebody to move around 2 feet, move around. Right. That would be funny.
Yes. But anyway, enough about my stuff. What you got going on? What happened to you this week?
My relationship coaching. Let me see. This week I had an interesting couple. They got 2 kids. They're from Chicago. Did it over the line, right? So I'm just going to read off to you my notes, right?
All right, go ahead.
I wrote down, husband believes his job is to provide only. So the husband doesn't really engage. It means like he makes a ton of money and he pays the bills and he gives her money and she's supposed to manage the household basically.
I think that's probably a common thing amongst men who make good money.
That they just believe it. Like, it's not even that they make a decision. It is in their belief system that my role is to provide only and your role is to make everything else work.
Yeah, right? That's kind of an old school mentality, but yeah, I've seen that a lot. Right,
but then when I got about the wife is because he doesn't really engage with the household, that makes her unhappy and it ends up with her withholding sex.
Of course. Oh.
Right? And so she withholds sex. So what do you think happens after that?
So he feels like because he is paying all the bills that, you know, he is owed something. So he just going to find him a little side piece.
He got him a little side piece and got caught. And that's how they got to me. Right?
Yep. Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. We got that part. Y'all not shocked, right? And so, but what was interesting about this couple that I really wanted to point out to the listeners this week is that neither one of them were willing to make the sacrifices that were needed to be made to be happy. So I'm talking to the husband about getting engaged, doing more things around the house, learning how to say no to the job, learning how to put the job in the job's place, like setting up some parameters.
That's challenging, though. That is really challenging. But it's time management. That's a challenge.
Time management and prioritization. But It wasn't just him, right? Because when I would talk to her, I would talk to her about, you know, learning how to communicate without always being angry. And she has a lot of resentment built up. So she is angry. Mm-hmm. And she's reminded of that anger every single day. Like, cause every single day she has some things that she has to get done around the house and she's scrambling, trying to get everything done, trying to get all the kids in the right places and all that kind of stuff and get them fed and, you know, proper nutrition, schoolwork and all that. So she's trying to do everything and she's kind of overwhelmed.
Right. And the more she does, the more resentful she becomes.
The more she does, the more resentful she becomes. And I'm trying to get her into a problem-solving area. Like, I'm trying to talk to her, okay, so what's the problem, right? And she's like, He comes in and he wants dinner. I'm like, okay, if you don't have time to cook dinner, it's 2016, right? I don't believe women got to come home and cook every day. If you want to go, I say, me and my wife will spend time. We'll go to Whole Foods and get nutritious meals or order meal plans or whatever you need to do in order to be happy. I said, if cooking is a problem, you know, try to save yourself some time by going order some food. You know, like me and my wife will sometimes go to a barbecue place. We love the barbecue. We just buy a whole bunch of barbecue so we can save some time during the week, save some frustration. So I was trying to coach them through problem solving.
Yeah, and that's a big point right there. She has to negotiate her own happiness. If cooking 7 days a week is going to make you unhappy, are you okay with doing 4 or 3 and eating leftovers or whatever?
Right, but what you just said was key because she did not know how to be happy. Right? Yeah. She had been angry for so long that her natural reaction is now just anger and resentment, damn near hatred. And his natural reaction is she not appreciative, you know, all those that, you know, all those. You're right, the other chick is. And then I had to go through the process of explaining to him why his side chick relationship ran smoother than the one at home. which is beneath me. You know,
dudes don't understand it's easy for the grass to be greener.
I literally had to say to him, he was like, man, it's easier to talk to her. You know, she's more supportive. She's more understanding. We have more fun. When I'm around my wife, no, we don't even really talk to each other. We don't even like, and I'm like, dude, the side chick is for fun.
Don't have your kids.
She don't have no kids. She don't have no responsibility. Y'all don't have nothing real to engage and talk about. Y'all can really just talk about, you know, Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey. Or y'all can really just follow Twitter and see what Kim Kardashian doing that day. Y'all have nothing that is real, so it's so unfair for you to even discuss or compare. And that really shows me where you are in the marriage. You know, it really shows me the lack of respect that you have for the union because you don't even understand that a side relationship cannot compare to a marriage relationship.
Yeah, that's kind of a lack of depth, period.
Yes, just very shallow, just very, very, very much looking for happiness anywhere you can find it, looking for a pat on the back anywhere you can find it. And we are working through, like, the wife actively knows he's cheating right now. Right?
Oh my gosh!
Which
So
of
he didn't
course
even
is-
stop.
Yeah. No, he ain't even stopped yet.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes. And so the wife is in here like, he needs to stop cheating. He needs to leave her alone. He needs
We
to be
gonna
with
pray
his
for
family.
them.
Right. And he's like, he's kind of like stuck in the middle. I don't know if he's being 100% honest, or maybe he doesn't know how he 100% feels just yet, but he's just really caught up. And I'm like, no, you have to make sacrifices see, when you're sharing your life with someone,
Yeah.
and that's what I think they missed, is that when you're sharing your life with someone, your approach has to be, where is middle ground? Right? So
Right.
that's even for Tamara coming up, right? Is
Yeah.
that you have Tamara's been single for 40 years. She has certain things that she wants to be done certain ways, and they've been done like that
Sure.
for 10 years.
For real.
For 10 years, Tamara's
how I
done this
do it.
certain thing. This is how she does it, and it's perfect because she's been doing it for 10 years.
Yep.
Well, now you got a person who's been doing his own thing for 10 years, and the way he does it is different from the way you do it.
Exactly.
Right. And so when you have a difference of opinion, you have to come to the table and Tamara has to look at her fiance and say, okay, what is he trying to get accomplished? What is he used to? And your fiance's got to look at you and say, okay, what is Tamara looking at? What does Tamara need? And y'all like that. Y'all's approach
There you go.
has to be, where is the middle ground?
Yep. Yep. And that's the same thing with that couple. I mean, you just have to recognize that we have a goal here, and you have to set a goal together and then figure out how to navigate towards that goal. And yeah, that requires sacrifice.
Yep. And so the other thing I saw about them was that she really too wanted more control over his life. Like, I felt like she was trying to I guess you want control when dudes cheating, huh?
I mean, because like he has a whole nother life that she has no access to.
Yeah, let me go and scratch that little part out.
Yeah, exactly. Let that one go. All right, next story.
Oh, okay, next story. And so then in the other couple I had, where are my notes at for that couple? I had my notes everywhere. And so
You need to get organized.
I got notes everywhere because I wanted to really go from notes, right?
Okay.
And so another story I had a couple where the husband is from Texas and the wife is from California. And so really what we're talking about, we didn't really even, we got to start saying what the title of the podcast is kind of at the beginning so people know where we're going. We don't ever really
That
do
would
that.
make sense.
So what we're talking about today is, we got to give it a name live.
But
now.
we don't always end up talking about what the title is.
I don't think we're supposed to tell people that. I think
So we end up in a whole nother direction. But
supposed to
anyway,
act
go
like-
ahead. Have the title for today. Go ahead.
we're supposed to act like we know what we're doing. The title for today, I don't know. We have to do it afterwards, I guess. But I'm looking for something along the lines of learning how to sacrifice for the marriage, not for your. See, we know how to sacrifice for ourselves to get something or to acquire something, but when do you sacrifice something for like the greater good?
But yeah, I mean that's a life lesson, period. Not just in marriage, but in life, period. We can talk a little bit more about that in the politics section. But yes, that's a life lesson. You have to sacrifice for the greater good.
And so what happened was that another couple I was thinking about this week was I had a couple. The husband lives in they both live in Texas. The husband is from Texas. He's like South Texas cowboy, right? The wife is from LA.
Okay.
And so they got married without really I guess she was here on a job and her dream has always been to move back home, and he wants to stay here and raise the kids here on the ranch, and she like city girl, get it popping.
That's like some Green Acre stuff going on.
Right, exactly. And they really couldn't compromise.
But I mean, like, Texas is a compromise in and of itself, right? I mean, not South Texas, but like Dallas.
No, but she really wanted to live in L.A.
And they didn't talk about this at all?
They never talked about it.
See, that's what premarital counseling is about.
Exactly. But even I'm glad you pointed it out, and I'm glad you'll be going through it, in a couple weeks here.
Yes.
But premarital counseling doesn't always catch stuff like that because that will require people to look into the future and really analyze what they want to do and, kind of dream about their plan and fantasies about life.
Isn't that what premarital counseling is for?
It's about how, but see, that's about you Like a lot of, it depends on the counselor, but a lot of the programs don't necessarily say, hey, dream. What do you dream about? Like, where do you plan on?
Not just dream, but what is your vision for this relationship? Because you have to set like the groundwork of where you want it to go, right?
Right. But some people are not going to get, hey, ultimately, it's also about what you say. Okay, let's talk about, we got to do a whole nother sidebar because of that. So the problem with this is, with counseling is people think counselors are really what's your girl, Miss Chloe or whatever? people really think counselors are like that. Like they kind of just know what the problem is or can guess what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? And and you have to go to a counselor and tell them what your problem is. And the counselor's job is to help you mitigate those issues, come up with compromises, figure out where you sacrifice, to communicate to you what your partner needs to hear. That's what the counselor's for. So I compare a counselor to like maybe a real estate agent. You know, like you had to tell the agent, hey agent, I want a house with 3 bedrooms with marble floors, a pool in the back, and 4 bathrooms. You got to tell the agent that. You see what I'm saying?
Got it. And they negotiate. They find what you're looking for and negotiate the sale.
Right. And even then, they're going to find 5 houses, in different areas and say, what do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? And the more you communicate with your real estate agent, the closer you get to this house. Right.
Okay.
And so the more you communicate.
I have a hard time believing that she is a city girl and he is a country boy and neither one of them recognize that in each other.
I think that's what attracted them to each other, but it still was never a conversation about, hey, where do you want to raise your kids? Like if you and your fiance talked about where you want to raise your kids.
Yes.
I'm surprised by that. Cause I think, and I don't think
I understand what is a surprise. It's like, where do you want to have a family? You getting married, you're going to have a family. Yeah.
What I mean is, Lamisha and I both lived here. The assumption is that we're going to raise our kids here.
Right.
So we never talked about it.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. But even beyond that.
But wait. First, do you get what I'm saying? That's what happens.
I totally feel you. But I completely agree with you. So the assumption is that it's going to be here, but both of them want to be somewhere else.
Right. And so because the assumption was made that they were going to raise kids here, it never came up.
But the fact that I'm saying your assumption was that you were going to raise kids here, but neither one of you wanted to move anywhere else. So you can make that assumption and move forward. Now, the fact that you have a desire to move somewhere else, that should have been expressed at some point.
It's funny you said it because I got another client. I didn't meet with them this week. I met them a couple weeks ago, but they live here actually. And, but one of them wanted to go to get their PhD at Johns Hopkins, right?
Okay.
And so the fiance, they were engaged at the time. I was doing premarital counseling, premarital coaching with them. Right. But the fiance didn't know what Johns Hopkins was. He didn't even engage himself in that. A lot of people don't know what Johns Hopkins is. Okay,
but I don't understand. So, first of all, my point is kind of made right there. They're having this conversation before they get married.
This couple, well, they didn't have a conversation about where to live per se, because she just had a dream the whole time that I'm going to go to Johns Hopkins for medical school. And he was just kind of like, like, I love her. I'm going to be with her. But then it was later actually that she came forward and was like, no. Later he was like, wait a minute, where is Johns Hopkins? And he didn't know. And she was like, Johns Hopkins is in Baltimore.
Oh, wow. So I don't even understand how he didn't ask that question earlier.
Right. People are not perfect. People are flawed.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just living. Sometimes we're just going through life and not really paying attention to the finer details. Number one, because this is what you'll get. Number one, because certain people, assume that their spouse, all their arrangements are about them. Let it sink in. You see what I'm saying? Certain spouses, all of their thoughts, all of their arrangements, all of their plans, every single weekend, everything is about, okay, my husband is going to do something. I'm doing something with my husband. Like, and I really think like that too, to be honest, for the most part. Yeah. Like, I don't think of what I'm going to do with other people over the weekend first. I first think about what I'm going to do with my wife. Right. Yeah. And she thinks the same way, but sometimes people expand that to life. and you got to sit down and say, like, and me and my wife had very different trails like that too. Like, she wanted to be an actress for a long time. She had a sad car when I met her and all that. And I thought for a while she's going to have to move to LA.
But again, you knew this, you thought about it, you talked about it. I'm still trying to understand how these two people have two separate dreams and have never discussed it.
Yep. I'm just as surprised as you are, but I've seen it more than once where couples just did not get that.
Wow. Okay. So what is the resolution? What are they doing?
I'm still debating. So that's really what the podcast is about. It's about where I get to an impasse with a couple where we've identified the problems, identified potential solutions, but neither one of the parties want to do that sacrifice.
Okay. So I think this is pretty interesting, though. I like the way we're doing these little short stories. So I think whatever the topic was that you were trying to come up with, we can just scratch that.
Okay, you gonna scratch it?
Yeah, let's just do the short stories.
Quick stories. Okay, what you want to do?
You got another one?
You know what? We need to go through some of these phone calls, right? And so we're gonna play this one from Philadelphia. This is Audrey.
Hi, my name is Audrey. I'm calling from Philadelphia. And while I understand your theories and I realize it's necessary that divorce is not an option, I take issue to the word hoes, girlfriends and wives. Why hoes? Really, I don't understand the concept of degrading a woman even further. It's a derogative word. I find it offensive because a woman is not a hoe. She may have low self-esteem and has not yet realized her full worth, but that doesn't make her a whore. And I don't like the fact that you used that word. You could have called the other woman. You could have said anything other than hoe. Find another more sensitive word. It's not a matter of being politically correct or hurting someone's feelings. I just find the word hoe offensive. Have a great day.
Maybe Audrey would be cool with that if we said
maybe so. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Next message. So we got a call from Nikki in Fort Wayne, and Nikki says she needs additional information on healing from infidelity. So let's hear Nikki.
Okay, so with Audrey, what happened was she really was upset of the title of the podcast last week. And so
Audrey talking about hoe is a derogative term. Murderer is a derogative term, and murder is a derogative act.
But there are some hoes out there, though. Let's keep it 100.
Hoish behavior is offensive behavior, and it is a derogative act. If you're not a hoe, you can be offended if somebody calls you a hoe. But if you are a hoe, you need to claim it. That's okay. Who you are.
Okay, is Kim Kardashian a hoe?
I don't know what she's doing right now, but she has exhibited hoish behavior.
Exactly. And I don't mean to just call her out, but I feel like we can, because if you do a sex tape and then you release it publicly and then all your life
make
is
a whole career on it,
then use a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say use a hoe before you became a wife or a mother, you had hoish tendencies, and some women don't even care about that. Some women want to be hoe. Some people I seen things like Amber Rose talking about a slut walk. Have you seen that?
No, I don't even pay attention to nothing Amber Rose says.
I get that. You know what I'm saying? But it was a slut walk that she was doing where she was basically taking pride into just being sexual, and flamboyant and all that, and basically saying don't shame women who are, flamboyant.
And see, you know what? I think there are lines here that we are totally blurring. Like, to Audrey's point, if you are just a hypersexual woman and you do what you do, okay, whatever, that's between you and your God. But what I'm saying when I say hoe specifically, I am talking about, somebody, I'm about to call out names, but let me not. I was going to say Angelina Jolie, when you sleeping with somebody's husband, that is hoish behavior.
Or we never talk about Alicia Keys. I be wanting to get on her.
Yes. No, I'm right there with you. So there are certain things, and of course we can fast forward 10 years, and you can be happily married with 2 kids and whatnot, and it looks all pretty now. But at the end of the day, when you are sleeping with somebody else's man, that is hoish behavior. You are a hoe. You are acting like a hoe. And Audrey can dislike the word as much as she likes, but that is what it is. If she wants to defend it, go right ahead. My opinion is mine.
And let's be clear about saying that a hoe is not just a woman that chooses to sleep with multiple men, right? It's not that simple. A hoe is someone who. What you got?
Go ahead. I don't quite agree. I'm gonna hear you out before I have my opinion. Go ahead.
Cause I believe, number one, I don't want it to be a double standard. Number two.
Oh, men are hoes too.
Right. Okay. Then if there's not a double standard, then we good on it, right?
Yeah.
But to me, hoish is when, I'll read sometimes just doing research, and I'll see women brag about their sexual exploitations with, a star or something like that. Like, guess what? I was with Lil Weezy last night, and he did this and he did that, and and all that's hoish to me. Like, if you want to brag about just sleeping with somebody, and like you said, maybe if we make it clear that hoes could be men or women, maybe Audrey would be cool with that. If we said
maybe so. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Next message. So we got a call from Nikki in Fort Wayne, and Nikki says she needs additional information on healing from infidelity. So let's hear Nikki.
Hello, my name is Nikki. I'm from Fort Wayne. I had a question about from episode 6 on why I married a black woman. I had a question about healing because you never went in depth on ways to heal. My husband had an affair with a coworker, and they had a child from that affair. Divorce is not an option for him, but sometimes I struggle with staying at that time. So, well, my thing is, for me to move forward, how can what are ways to heal from this? So if you could please give me some insight on that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, with Nikki, and Nikki's emailed me a couple times, just so anyone knows, I really don't have the time to go through and answer every single relationship question anymore. But what I promise to do is, well, I'm going to say promise either. I don't know. Tamara may hold me honest.
Yeah, now you got to do it.
Right. If you call into the voicemail and leave your number, leave your message on the voicemail, then we can talk about it here.
Don't leave your number because we playing these messages.
We don't call and Steven, call me back on this phone right here.
Right, don't do that. Just leave your message and move along.
And so and the number is to the voicemail podcast is 469-294-3795. Again, the number, if you have a relationship question, you can call and leave a message on the voicemail and I'll answer your question.
Or
469 or comment 469-294-3795. Okay.
Okay, so back to Nikki.
Nikki, husband cheated, got somebody else pregnant, dealing with that situation.
Yeah, that's serious.
That's real, right? And she's emailed me maybe 2 or 3 times over the last couple of weeks, and she finally just hit me on a social media platform that she caught me. And so I was like, so that's why she was able to call. And so with Nikki, what I say to people who are trying to heal, healing and forgiveness is a process that goes hand in hand. So what it would sound like to me without talking to you is that you're trying to heal, but you haven't forgiven. Right.
But Nikki's issue is compounded because it's one thing when you cut me and I'm trying to heal from this wound. It's another thing when you cut me and now there's this baby that's rubbing salt in my wound every day.
Right. And yes, that is complicated. I'll get to that in a second. Yes. But first and foremost, it sounded like she really wanted to heal. She really wanted to.
Yeah, she does.
And healing is for her, but that's only one part of it. You got to forgive him, right? And she didn't talk about nothing about forgiveness in him. She just talking about how to move on. It really wasn't forgiveness. It was it was more like, I don't want to be hurt anymore. How do I do that?
I think it's a little bit easier to forgive when you recognize if you've had any, any impact in the situation or any responsibility. So if there was something going on, like we don't know all the details of their marriage, but if there was something going on that she could understand where the situation was created for him to move outside of their marriage, that might be a little bit easier for her to find some forgiveness because she may need some forgiveness of her own. But other than that, I'm just like, that having a baby by somebody else, that's a hard one.
Yeah. And so what I do when I talk about forgiveness with people is I start with you. The only way you can forgive is that you recognize that what you have to forgive the person for, that you have to have some certainty that that won't happen again. Right. Number one,
yes.
Do you believe that he's rehabilitated? Right. Because I don't believe in once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't believe that. I think that our cheaters or whatever problem you got, you can go through counseling, you can go through coaching with me. You can figure it out. You can solve your problems. You can get better.
Well, one thing that she said that really struck me in the beginning is she said divorce is not an option for him. And I just wonder where that comes from, and then what kind of man is he that she is married to? And if he's that committed to his marriage, then I see a better opportunity for forgiveness as long as he's committed to being faithful.
Right. But the problem is people don't know how to go about forgiveness. And so the first step is you got to confirm that your partner won't hurt you again with the same way. So first step, confirm that your partner won't hurt you again in the same way. Right. Second step, rehabilitation. Right. And so make sure that he goes through and figures out why he cheated, what was missing in his life, what additionally does he need. Right. And so then if you can look at your partner and says, okay, I feel comfortable that he will not do the same thing to me again. And I feel comfortable that he knows how to better communicate the things that drove him to cheat in the first place. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And
yeah,
so
that's important.
If you figure out those two things, and then the third thing that I do is I do a self-evaluation, because I believe, and I don't think anyone else does this, I think this is what makes me unique as a relationship coach, is that I take responsibility because I believe I have every opportunity to make that person happy, right?
Well,
you live with this person.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
And just that, you need to figure out where you can take your own responsibility.
Right. And some people don't want to take any responsibility. Like, it's feminists out there and go, well, he cheated. No. If I live with the person every single day, I have a daily opportunity to make this person happy. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier in the podcast. What are you doing that's not showing a person that either to make sure that they feel loved or letting them figure out how to make sure you feel loved? And that's why I made it third. I didn't make it first. I made it third in terms of importance.
And this is not to excuse cheating, and it's not to say that you are responsible for somebody cheating, because everybody's responsible for their own actions. But at the end of the day, something was missing to make somebody look for it somewhere else. And it may very well be that he just dirty like that. But most people, there is some reason why he sought outside, and you can analyze where that came from.
I'm so glad you're here to fill the gaps and add disclaimers. You just added the general disclaimer. I'll be missing disclaimers half the time.
All right, so Nikki got her 3 points. Let's go to Chicago.
Okay, Chicago.
Nina says marriage is not necessary in this day and age. Let's listen to what she got to say.
This is Nina from the Shy, and in regards to whether or not marriage is necessary, it absolutely is not. Once we move marriage into being a part of church and state, we lost the value of it. It is a Christian principle that unfortunately our government has tainted so much that it really has lost its value into bringing together two people under the eye of God to procreate and to build a foundation of family. Now it is merely a legal thing where, you bring in two people together with a contract, and it's mainly so that I can make some financial or other legal decisions on my mate's behalf. And now we have so many documents that allow you to forego it. So when you look at marriage, it really has lost its true value of being stemming from just Christian beliefs to being something founded on love to now just being legal things, you know. The Bible says that it is better to marry than to live in sin, and that basically had to do with having sex. And so now that we don't hold those same principles, people are having sex all day long. It shifted to something that we did to solidify our love. But the more intelligent we've become, we realize that you really don't necessarily need to marry to prove your love and to validate your love for one another. So I don't think it's necessary. Peace.
Okay, Nina got real deep. You don't think that she gonna go? You thought that normally when people say marriage is not important, it's for different reasons. It's for like the regular reasons, like who cares or it's stupid or something like that. But the way she was going, I
disagree with everything Nina said. So, okay, so she talks about Christian principles being tainted by the government and the separation of church and state, and I think her history may be a little bit skewed. I mean, if she's taking it all the way back to Adam and Eve, okay, then we can have a discussion about that. But, even taking it back to the Bible, marriage has always been a contract.
I guess I just didn't get, like, what was her big gripe? I didn't get that. Did you get that from the horse?
So I think at the end of the day, the foundational point was that marriage is about sex, and we don't need sex anymore. And so marriage is about sex, and marriage is about financial contracts. So in this day and age, you can have sex with whoever you want to, and you can make your own money. So marriage is obsolete. I think that's what her bottom line is, but I disagree with that in that, one, like you have talked about a lot, you build financially way more as a married couple than you do individually. So you may be able to do well on your own, but think about how well you could do with somebody else. And secondly, while yes, in this day and age, you can have sex with whoever you want to, that's not biblical since she's taking it to Christian principles.
You know what? I tell people all the time that President Obama, who's leaving office next month, we're going to all shed a tear for that one. Well, beyond a tear, we might just cry, especially the day and when other people move in.
I'm crying now all the way until.
I tell people all the time that President Obama is presidential. Like all day long, like you see him, you notice him, he's presidential. He got that feel, that swag, that respect.
Right,
that we should all
right.
It's something unique and special and different about him. But he would not be president without Michelle.
Exactly.
Like, I believe that.
And just that's a good point. Just the building. Like I've read several articles on marriage as a development of an individual person. Like, you learn more about yourself with somebody, just, learning, like for one thing, people don't realize how selfish they are until they have to be in a relationship and have to share and sacrifice.
I've actually had debates. I used to lead a men's ministry, and one of my big debates one time was basically about how do you reach your peak as a person, and marriage challenges you to reach that peak.
Exactly.
And so like me being single, like if I was a single man that never got married, I don't think I could have developed my character, my morals, my ethics, my values to, I'm sure I was a little bit more, hard or harsh. Like I'm much more sensitive. I'm much more caring. Just
and that
because
goes two ways.
Right. And so, but the other thing about Nina is I wish I would have learned if she was married. Cause I kind of got the feeling did you get married and you actually wrote like some kind of real contract with a dude and then the dude went back on the contract or you didn't get the return on your investment? Like I didn't get how that just came out of nowhere. Yep. That marriage is just about the contract.
Yep. And the converse of what she said is true though. So while marriage is a contract, divorce will also set you back more financially than almost anything else. Oh yeah.
I got another article where I talk about divorce setting you back 7 years.
Exactly.
Meaning like it takes you 2 years to recover.
Right.
And then I'm talking about that's a bare minimum.
Yeah. Just getting back to solid ground.
Right, to where you actually trust somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then 2 years to find somebody at a bare minimum. So that's 4 years. And then you date that person for 2 more years for the most part. And then you engage for a year. And so that's 7 years.
Yeah, that's 7 years. But that's the emotional side. I'm talking about the financial side when she's talking about financial contracts. Like you divorced and now you've had to pay for this divorce. You've had to split all of your assets. You are now losing, somebody's paying child support, somebody's paying alimony. So, you actually can be set back way further in divorce, than if you were just a single person. So I totally understand that perspective. But I think, marriage as a foundational, institution, it's formative, and it helps you build financially. It helps you build as a person. I know just me personally, I am better because I've learned what my flaws are just from being in this relationship.
You know who's gonna be mad at this whole little segment we just did about Nina?
Who?
Your girl last week on Facebook. You said
I knew as soon as I said that, I was like, yeah, I'm not giving a single perspective.
Yes. She would be like, this is why I thought Tamara shouldn't be on the show no more. Because all y'all just talking about marriage. Now, that's all the show going to be about is y'all talking about married people. We need somebody on the show.
The show is divorce is not an option.
Okay, wait. Before you go to another one, can we get a dude? Can we get a brother?
Okay. We do have Mac from Florida who said he married a white woman because that's who he fell in love with.
Hey guys, it's Max Fountain. Hey, I just wanted to respond to your post. I'm a black man that happened to marry a white woman. And to be honest with you, the decision to do that really had nothing to do with the color of her skin. I just happened to fall in love with a woman who happened to be white. I would like to go on to say that, every few years or so, the same question comes up and, the same answers of, because she's a strong black woman, she's strong-willed and not timid. Those always come up as the answers for why, black men choose to marry black men, or why, black people feel black men aren't strong when they marry a white woman. It just creates a little bit more of a divide.
Okay, I'm glad that, let's first, it was a lot of conversation about, race relations and love, and blanket statement again. I don't care who you love. Love who loves you. Love knows no color. I believe all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But having said that, I'm gonna get in trouble here, man. I'm gonna say it.
Just say it. Go on ahead.
But having said that, every single time I've engaged a couple where, the black man was married to a woman of a different nationality. Their personality, I always felt like this brother's personality was not one that would fit a more aggressive style of woman in the black woman, right? And I believe,
Agreed.
man, I don't know if we got time. And I believe the black woman is more aggressive, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's who she is. I think all of us have certain stereotypical things that either we're, I guess you can disagree, but I love the black woman just the way she is, right? But for Mac, what I would say is that it's not about belittling you or saying you couldn't handle or saying something's wrong with your partner because she's not black or because she's not aggressive or whatever. And she could possibly be aggressive. She could be more aggressive than a sister or whatever. But I think it's more important that we focus on love who loves you and you being a good fit for them.
Right. I think as a black woman, the main concern that we have is the brothers who are constantly saying, I did not date a black woman, or I would not date a black woman, or I did not marry a black woman because y'all are too XYZ aggressive or whatever you want to call it. Y'all got too many attitudes, whatever. So I think that's where my perspective was coming from. But, I don't think there's, again, that's between you and whatever your preferences are. So, love who you love.
Yeah, I think you're right. That really the focus should be on the elimination of the black woman. Like
restate that.
The focus should not be on I don't date black women.
Exactly.
Like that's the problem that people have.
Exactly.
Date whoever you want to date, love whoever you want to love. But if you put a blanket statement that I won't date this person because of this, or I won't date this type of people because of this,
yes,
that's not fair. That's not fair to anybody.
Right. And the other point is that sometimes there is kind of an underlying tone of, I have gotten better because I have Kim Kardashian, or because I have Buffy or whoever, whatever, Tiffany. I'm just saying, the concern is that we're not saying that white or other or whatever is better than black.
You supposed to say Becky with the good hair.
Yeah, Becky with the good hair.
That'll be it. Divorce not an option.
This has been the Divorce is Not an Option podcast, hosted by Tamara Glaspie and my co-hosts. Okay, that's when you
Stephen James Dixon.
Thank you. Please be sure to subscribe and follow our podcast so you will automatically be alerted when we produce a new episode on iTunes, Spreaker.com, Google Play, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Thanks for listening.